Good evening, all. Hello, Namaskar. I welcome you all to the fifth episode of Sustain and Emerge Post COVID series. And sincerely thank you for sparing your time on this Friday evening. Your support means a lot for us. We are very happy to see overwhelmed response from the investors. Today we have more than 150 attendees, and we are thankful to each one of them. The initiative is a no profit gesture from CCV toward the investors, and we are waiting for just 2-3 minutes so that more attendees can join. Just wait for 2-3 more minutes. Good evening, friends. I think we are good to start now. Uh, we are very thankful to everyone who have joined in here. This is the fifth episode of Emergence, the New Normal, Sustain and Emerge Post COVID-19 series. This introduction is going to be very interactive, and we are discussing today Fredun Pharmaceuticals Limited, and we are going to discuss with Mr. Fredun Medura, who is the managing director of Fredun Pharmaceuticals. So, just to brief about this initiative, uh, Corporate Capital Venture Private Limited has initiated this initiative for the benefit of stakeholders. And the objective of this initiative is to assess the impact of COVID-19 on the businesses in which the investors have invested and the way forward. This is our fifth series with the management of Fredun Pharmaceutical Limited. About Corporate Capital Venture, we are a decade-old company. We are registered with SEBI as a Category 1 merchant banker. We are very much focused on SME, and we handhold SMEs to raised fund from capital market, equity and debt sources. We have seen all the ups and downs in SME space, listing space, since 2013 till date, and still we strongly believe that SMEs has the capability of generating next multi-bagger. With that objective, we have started this initiative to find out those multi-baggers. We also do other merchant banking activities like valuations, open offer listing, delisting, etc. We have presence in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Bangalore. Standard disclaimer: we are a category 1 registered merchant banker. We are not investment advisor. We are not brokers. We are not dealers. We are not investor relationship firm. And we are doing this exercise, this interaction for the benefit of stakeholders of company only. There is no in any way this interaction or communication shall be construed as an investment advice or invitation to subscribe to the securities of company. We are discussing these all matters here in personal nature, and they are intended as an educational material. We will not discuss any sensitive, undisclosed price sensitive information, and though we have taken best effort to make sure that all the information is accurate and up to date, if there is any mistake, occasionally unintended error, then we apologize for that, and you need to do your own research before investing in capital market. Yes. So the company which we are going to discuss today is Fredun Pharmaceutical Limited. It's a completely matured company, incorporated in 1987. The company is engaged into manufacturing of various pharmaceutical formulations. They are exporting their product to 37 countries. Manufacturing facilities situated in Palghar, that is close to Mumbai. They manufacture dietary, herbal supplement, nutraceuticals, and other healthcare products, along with animal healthcare products. This company, because into a pharmaceutical end, could be a beneficiary post this China fiasco. So we are going to have an interactive discussion with Mr. Fredun Medora, who is MD of Fredun Pharmaceutical Limited. Mr. Fredun is a graduate from Magna Cum Laude Business Entrepreneur from Plattsburgh University, New York. He was also awarded a standing in the Dean's List for all the semesters. He is a recipient of Direct Marketing Seminar Scholarship while working with the Director of Small Business Development Center. He is a member of Bata Gamma Sigma Honor Society and also Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society. He graduated in Master MBA from Cardiff Business School, Wales. He is a whole-time director of the company since 2013 and managing director of the company since 2014. So I welcome Mr. Fredun Medora to join in this interaction. Mr. Fredun.
Yes. Can you allow my video to come in?
Yeah.
Yes, if you can allow my video access. Hello all. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate giving time is the most valuable thing, and you guys have given your time to listen to us. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Fredun, to join here, and thank you for accepting our invitation to join us for this interaction. So, just to start with, in simple language, let us understand what the company do.
So basically, we are a formulation manufacturer. We make tablet capsules, dry powder suspensions, and we have recently ventured into ointments and pelletization. So basically, we are formulators. We have around 400 odd products in various therapeutic ranges. We have a huge range of products which vary from various types of indications. And at the same time, we have volumes to suffice that.
Okay.
In basic terms, we are a manufacturer who has our own brand names and who manufactures for others for their brand names as well.
Okay, so do contract manufacturing also, and you have your own brands of pharmaceuticals also.
Yes, absolutely.
So if I just want to understand what is your, how many products do you have, and what are the most selling products of your brand?
Sure. So we have a huge range of therapeutic classes from antiretrovirals to NSAIDs to nephrology products and antidiabetics, antihypertensions. We have a huge range of products. Our core ranges is antidiabetics. We are very strong in antidiabetics. We are very strong in antiretrovirals in terms of formulation development. And also, we have a very vast range of hypertensive products as well. So those are our key strengths.
Okay. So, and which countries you prominently export your products?
Our products are exported directly or indirectly to Africa, Southeast Asia, CIS. We have started South America recently, and various Central Asian countries as well.
Okay. And to understand which are your best-selling products in India?
So basically, our entire anti-diabetic range is, you can say, is one of the top-selling products. Cardiac products are number one in many countries as of now, our own brands. So those, you can say, are our star products or star ranges, if I may. And the rest we are developing. We do not want to be a specialist in any one therapeutic range. We want to have inroads in practically at least 10 to 15 where we have sustainable long-term market share.
Okay. So just to understand what is the capacity of company of tablets, syrup, gels, and how much are the capacity utilization as of now?
Sure. Basically, our organization, we started expanding and started doing our capex in the last 3 years. Now we have a capacity to manufacture around 25 million tablets a day.
95
million
okay.
tablets. We have a capacity for 2 million capsules a day. And we have a capacity to make 9 tons per day. Our recently launched ointment facility has a innate capacity of around 150,000 tubes per day. And our pelletization plant has a capacity of around 35 tons monthly.
Okay, that's a huge capacity, I can say. And how much is the capacity utilization as of now? Are you operating on
the capacity utilization varies from the type of product that is in campaign at the plant. However, you can say currently we are between 40 to 55%.
40 to 45%. Okay, fair enough. And how many packaging lines you have in your
16.
manufacturing facility?
16.
16. Okay. What about your R&D team? How many people do you have in your R&D team?
So basically, we have a very strong F&D team. We have a very strong team which works on formulation. We have around 12 people solely for development. We have around 13 people at the shop floor for F&D, and about 9 chemists and about 12 QA.
Okay, fair enough. Can you give us a number of products that are registered as on date in India and your plan for next 2 years?
So basically, we
product in
have
numbers.
products in different countries.
Hmm.
Some countries have say, for example, Kenya, we have about 130 products in Kenya. We have about 63 products in Sri Lanka. We have a total of around 280 products registered and around 500 under registration, around 430 under registration.
Okay. That's a huge number, I can say.
Yes, that is basically what we are building for the last 3 years and what we will be building for the next 3 to 5 years as well. That is basically where our focus is, to get our foundation strong.
So who are your clients and how many clients do you have in numbers?
Yes, our clients are direct importers, number one, distributors, number two, or we have simple agents who are just CNF for our own brands. So different countries have different kind of buyers. Some are local buyers who buy from us locally here and then export themselves. Some may be our own brands under a tie-up understanding. Some may be a direct sale.
Okay. So if I can ask in numbers, how many clients, or if I can re-express it in like how much do your top 10 clients contribute in your revenue?
So basically, just as Pareto's rule, 20% of your clients give around 80% of your business, basically in all industries, more or less the same. But all our buyers are either number 1, 2, or 3 in that country. We don't deal with very small buyers in those countries. And that's our key point, because our distribution becomes extremely easy once we associate with them. Yes, we do have buyers who are small but have grown substantially. I have good stories of buyers starting with a $5,000 order going to a $500,000 order. So yes, if we feel that the buyer has scope and can adhere to our line of thought and our process, yes, why not? We'll associate. Generally, it's the number 1, 2, or 3 in that country.
Okay. So I have seen that company has grown very handsome last 3 years. What led to this amazing high growth?
So a couple of factors, Mr. Kulbhushan. Couple of factors. The first one being we have increased our capacities. That's one. However, capacity increasing is not the only reason for our growth. As you've seen, our capacity is not utilized fully. The reason why we have is because we have been since 2011 registering products, building partnerships, getting brands sorted out, and moving our products inroads slowly. So as you can see, even in the toughest of times in 2017, when the Nigeria crisis happened, and there were a lot of pharma companies whose sales has dropped, our sales didn't drop. Because what we do is we create a foundation which is strong enough that, hey, if something's required, some things we can reassess, but never would our sales, where we have built for the last 3 years, 5 years, drop. So that is basically the only thing. The sales that you are seeing in 2018, 2019, 2017 is our work from 2010, 11, 12, and 13.
Okay. So I can understand that this growth will sustain in future also.
Yes, I cannot comment on the severity of the growth, but I can definitely comment that yes, there will be sustainable founded growth. There will not be any spikes,
Okay.
because that's not how we work.
Mhm. If I just want to understand how different is Fredun Pharma from different pharmaceutical companies, and what is the competitive advantage of Fredun Pharma over your similar companies in pharmaceutical formulations?
Sure. Most pharma companies start and they want to make molecules which are selling. They want to make molecules which have a huge market, and they want to take a bite of that share. We do not adhere to that line of thought. Yes, of course, we would want to have a market share in a product which is worldwide, definitely. But we are focusing on niche products in each and every therapeutic segment that we are present in. For example, we are doing niche products in anti-diabetics, which hardly 2 or 3 companies in India have the licenses to do. We are doing the same for antiretrovirals. Hardly around a handful of companies have the licenses we do. Same thing in hypertensives, same thing in nephrology, same thing in immunosuppressants. So yes, that is basically how we want to push it ahead. That is how we are different, number one. Number two, those companies who have a very niche products range do not necessarily also have the volumes to do large volume products. Those large volume products, our capacity that we have built are for the large volume products. So we have a right mix of niche products and a huge capacity. So that mix, I feel, is rare. I can't say we are the only ones in the country, but it is rare. Those companies who have volumes don't have products which are extensive in nature. Those companies who have products which are extensive in nature need not or necessarily don't have the volumes.
So there is almost a 30% increase in the cost of raw material in FY20 because there is a hike in API prices, and there was something happening. So
Yes.
what is the impact on the Fredun Pharmaceuticals of that price
Yes,
hike?
COVID-19, I feel the proper impact on not just Fredun Pharma, not just the industry, just overall is not yet completely known, because we are still in partial lockdowns. The countries are very unsure about opening the economies very fast. But yes, luckily we are in a sector which did not stop. We should be thankful, and I genuinely am thankful that I am in the pharma industry, and so are my employees, because all my employees are at work. In fact, we are hiring right now. So that's a positive sign, even when the whole world is partially shut down. That's number one. Yes, the API prices did increase. From January onwards. From January onwards, the prices were crazy. It affected not just the sales, but it also affected the profitability. But yes, these things keep on happening. It's part and parcel of life. We are not a company with a finite timeline. We are aiming to last for a long time. So, in the great scheme of things, COVID will be a small bump, hopefully, in terms of Fredun Pharmaceuticals and its future. Profitability, yes, it's not going to improve anytime soon. The prices are still about 25 to 30% higher. The supply chains are not as smooth as anticipated, and the cycles also have been affected. You don't know how certain things have affected certain people, right? Not only from our supplier point of view, even from our buyers point of view. A lot of you have to realize that though COVID has caused great interest in the pharma industry, a lot of people are home and a lot of people are actually healthy right now. So the true effects of COVID will come in the next 3 to 6 months. But I'm sure that if your business is stable and if you are planning on, like us, if you're planning on registering new products which are next gen, say for the next 3 to 5 years, it should not matter much in the long term of things.
Okay. So any specific strategy to boost the profit margins after this thing?
So basically, see, as manufacturers, our profits are interdependent on supply chains. Our profits are also dependent upon buyer capacity and the outreach of the product range that you are manufacturing. So yes, our goal is to increase the profitability, but that's not our current goal at this point in time. Our current goal will remain steady. COVID has not changed it. Our goal for the next 3 to 5 years is getting inroads. Getting inroads, the profitability will start hitting after 3 to 5 years from now when we have our products registered. What we are doing now, around 500, 600 products that will come out in the play is in 2025, 2024, 2026, and those then will give us a boost in our profitability. At the same time, our capacities are going to be utilized further, and we are hoping to touch around 80% or 90% of capacity, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years. And that is when the fixed variables will come down as well. So profitability for me is a long-term goal. My goal right now and my only goal is to found the business so well that tomorrow if something else like COVID comes, it does not shake our foundation.
It's a perfect strategy, I think. And we have seen that many large pharmaceutical companies have slowed down local expansion of manufacturing and packaging lines in last 8 months, 9 months, or a year. Are you exploring any bigger contract work from bigger pharmaceutical companies in India?
Yes, currently the biggest company that we are dealing with locally is US Vitamins. We manufacture the entire ROW. We are steadily expanding and growing whatever capacities we're doing now. We are doing around 50 million tablets a month for them. So definitely we would want to associate more with them and grow sustainably more. At the same time, we are actually right now focused more on building our own brands for the future. Yes, big companies associate with us and they give us a boost temporarily. But in the long term, if you want to raise your flag high, you require your brands, your registration, and your capacity to be used for you.
That can happen by increasing the R&D. I have seen that you have spent almost 67 lakh in FY20 on R&D expenses. So is this new developments, new products you are
new formulation developments, improving of existing formulations? We are actually going to increase our spending, and we are going to stretch ourselves, because if we don't do that, if we don't innovate, if we don't do something which the others are not doing, or if you're just doing what others are doing, then price will be the only factor. And so long term, if I'm just copying somebody else, my profitability will never grow, because the other person, if he has a slightly more cash bank, he will go into a price war with me. So that's not a long-term strategy. Or at least that's what not we are planning to do.
Okay. So during this pandemic time, Uh, how was your production? How was the manufacturing going on? You said that you were working at approximately 35-40% capacity utilization. But have you got any bigger contracts or bigger? Obviously, those who have you have reported to the stock exchange. Uh, some queries from big pharmaceutical companies or anything which you
So
can
yes,
share with our.
our registrations in a few countries are coming in very robustly, like Philippines, Sri Lanka. We have about 100 odd products in Nigeria, which are going to come through in the next 12 months, and we are going to focus on those. We are going to focus on those. Yes, we will be interested in joining hands with a pharma company or something, but right now, to grow and grow our boat, it is our own products that we are focused on right now.
Okay. So do you run any type of shop floor production efficiency or packaging line efficiency project through your through which lean manufacturing or process optimization method could be utilized in
Yes,
manufacturing?
that is basically a key part of our F&D team. We want to improve our cost efficiencies at each stage of our production. Our goal is to improve our efficiency by at least 3 to 5% in terms of your basic manufacturing. Certain products, we can improve our efficiencies by more than 10% when volumes start hitting in. So yes, our goal is there. We are getting certain small capexes in place to achieve those efficiencies, and we are going to keep on investing in order to do that.
Okay. I have seen a significant reduction in operating expenses as well. I think that was because of your uh,
Yes,
optimization of manufacturing process. Do you have any plan to get FDA certificate in near future?
FDA.
Hmm.
Yeah, so basically we are a WHO CGMP company, and we are approved in various FDAs and administrations related to food and health in various countries. So we are going to keep on targeting those in our existing countries and foray further.
Okay. Fine. What is your general view on employees' safety in your manufacturing unit? I mean, how much important is employee safety for Freedom Pharma, and how you ensure that your employees are safe and work in a safe conditions?
Yes, of course. Very good question. If you randomly call somebody right now from my company and say which company you're part of, they'll always say Freedom Family. We treat our people. In fact, who work with me. I always tell my folks, no one works for me. Everybody works with me. Everybody is a family, and they get treated just like how I would treat my brother or I would treat my friend. There is no way. That does not mean that the mistakes will be taken lightly. However, the treatment is exactly how I would treat my loved one. So they have all the support, benefit, and that's why most of my people are with me for more than 1.5 decades.
Hmm.
In fact, most of my operating level people at the shop floor are with me since inception, 1994. That's when we started production. In fact, all of them, except those who have retired.
Hmm. Hmm. So, uh, the company's promoter shareholding after the preferential allotment got reduced to say 52%, I think. So,
Yes.
any plans to increase the promoter's stake in the company?
Yes, definitely. I am definitely going to plan to do that. Maybe in the near future, or maybe a couple of years down the line. That is our plan. This is our baby. This is our family. This is basically what we eat, breathe, and sleep. Sometimes not sleep. So definitely, nobody would like to reduce stake in their own child. Nobody would like to reduce stake in their own thing. They would always view on increasing the stake, especially in a company where we have so much commitment. So yes, we need to plan these things out, definitely.
And what about your expansion plans? And are you cash sufficient within your company for your expansion plans?
Yes, so basically our capex mostly is complete for the next 4 to 5 years. We'll be doing, say, around 3 to 4 crores of capex every year, maybe 1 year, maybe a little more, but not substantially huge. Our capex is done in place around 280 to 300 crores. Throughput with our current product mix is already in place. So yes, if there would be funds requirement, that would be for working capital. There would be funds requirement to further execution of bigger orders. And we are developing strategies in order to attain that. Nothing urgent, nothing immediate, but yes, the plan and the thought process is on.
Okay, and what is your approach to make the company debt free?
So yeah, getting companies debt free is the in thing now, but that's not the point. Our short-term debts, yes, I would like to get rid of everything in the next 18 to 24 months. All short-term debts. Long-term debts will remain for the next 3 to 5 years. At the same time, what the company envisions is having working capital, because the profitability will be slightly low for the next 3 to 5 years. So cash accruals will start over the next, say, 36 to 72 months. And then after, we are going to plan. Plan actually is not to be completely debt free in terms of zero debt, but for working capital, yes, we will require a bank support because we are planning to grow around 20% year on year. That is almost 1.3 to 1.5% month on month. So definitely we will require additional support in terms of funding our working capital. But short-term debts, yes, 18 months is what we have planned. Maybe 24 months, we should be rid of all our short-term debts. And our long-term debts, we are going to plan in the next 5 years.
Okay. So I think we have discussed most of the things. Anything specifically you want to convey to the shareholders, convey to the stakeholders of your company and the general public as well?
Yes, we are really investing for the future. What we are doing now will see the fruits 3 to 5 years down the line. We are investing very heavily in our registrations. We are investing very heavily in new product development. We are investing very heavily in terms of getting our efficiencies, as we just talked about it. So for anybody who is with us and those who see us on a day-to-day basis, and most people who know, including our employees, they know what we are doing. We are founding it right now. So yes, I feel the company has an extremely good potential. Of course, that's what most managing directors will say. But I would say it with exuberance that yes, we have done well. We are planning. We are actually doing well right now. Even when the whole world is getting stuff with COVID thing, we are still moving ahead. Yes, sales are down, but that's temporarily. That's normal. And we are going to grow. We are going to add more products, and we are going to keep on investing. We are not going to copy somebody else's business model. We are not going to see, oh, this guy is doing this product, let's start doing this product. No, we are different. We remain different, and I think that has allowed us to thrive. That has allowed us to come at this stage, even through all the ups and downs that the company has seen. And for the last 8-9 years, we are seeing the fruits of it.
Okay. Just give a brief about the management, like your father and mother both are very rich experienced in R&D and all related.
Yeah, this company is founded by my parents. My mother is a PhD research scientist, and my father is a technocrat chemist. He worked for 27 years in Sarabhai Chemicals. Sarabhai Chemicals, as you know, was India's largest pharma company for decades. And he has worked practically in all departments in Sarabhai Chemicals. So he has a very vast pharma experience. My mother is a PhD. She has done research and done research for various multinationals during her time of working. Then they both got together and founded this company. So you can, and there is no heart and there is no brain. Both are heart and both are brain. And I, as their only child, will always remain a caretaker of the company. I run my company as a caretaker, not as an owner. And till my last breath, I will run this company as a caretaker, because that will allow me to take decisions which are not based upon emotion, but based upon prudence. And hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, of course that helps. We can open this discussion for question answers now. So if anyone wants to ask any question, they can raise hand and we will try to unmute them so that they can ask the question. Tushar, can you? There are already some questions. If we can take them. So what are your plans for entry into US and European market? I think we have covered that. Your buyers, how about improving the situation of trade receivables from your buyers? Cash flows, what step are we taking to ensure cash inflow without hampering revenues? You want to answer it?
Yeah, can I please get the last question?
Someone wants to know the situation of your trade receivables and how, what steps are you taking to ensure cash inflows without hampering revenues?
Yes. So that is what I was. That's what my first point to begin with. Most companies for the last 3 months, people say cash flow issues, but they all have cycles and all will receive cash flows for sales in Jan, March, and Feb, and late March. So the real cash flow issues will start coming in from August, September, October, and November, because in April, May, and June, the sales were low, not for Fredun, for any company. So we are already in talks with our suppliers. Basically, most of our suppliers, we work as partners. I am personally in touch with everyone daily. We are assessing the situation, seeing how things work out. And currently we are executing orders. Our plant is functional, and in fact we are taking as many orders as possible. Our cash flow cycle will not affect the business in the next 3 months, that I can assure you. Yes, there will be certain stretching of certain creditors, but that will be done as partners, and we will go through it. So by October, or say November, I don't see any issue with our cycles. Next 90 days, yes, of course. There is no denying it. It would be funny if I say yes, we'll be cash flow positive in the next three. We will have excess cash flow. But yes, there will be problems. But say from October, mid-October, November, first week, I don't foresee, because we have started supplying. Our goods are going, and we are going ahead.
Okay. So Mr. Arun has asked, why has your debt shot up to 35 crore from 10 year in year earlier?
Yeah, because as I told you, a lot of working capital has been used. A lot of money has gone into registrations and formulations and F&D, yes. At the same time, there were a lot of other small capexes that we required to do over a period of time to help our major capex. So those definitely added on the debt. In terms of, and a large portion of the debt is working capital. Large portion of the debt is working capital. We have stocks to ensure, and right now our orders in hand right now is around 48 crores. Orders in hand, our order book right now. So we are fine. It's just proper execution. It's proper understanding of the product and the market. Yes, there will be certain hiccups, but about 3 to 6 months down the line, it should not be much.
So there is an interesting question. Any plan to do backward integration to keep API prices under control? If yes, do you have a research to start execute API manufacturing or all?
Backward integration, again, I would say many people ask me this question. Many people ask me this question. And I always say a formulation plant can make 300 products in a plant. An API plant cannot. You require separate blocks for each. Also, an API plant cannot, you cannot make an API plant for self-consumption. It just doesn't work. People have to start working on it. So right now, we would not be going under any backward integration for our formulation till FPL is around in the 200, 250 crore mark. We are stabilized, our cost efficiencies have come in, and then we might, understanding the future, then after 3 years, the products which we want, we might enter into making API with a formulation where we feel has some potential in the future, but that will be around 4 to 5 years down the line once FPL is on a stable growth plan.
So someone has asked that you mentioned in the past that you have you may need to raise the capital. Where are you on this, and will it be via debt or equity? But I think you have already answered that you do not need any vast capital as of now.
Yeah, as on today, no. But in the next few months, year, we might plan something where we are wanting to take our company from 110 crores this year to, of course, COVID has slightly affected the first quarter. But hey, especially being a manufacturing plant in Maharashtra. But we are planning to take it ahead, have around 20-30% growth year on year for the next 3 years. So in order to fuel that growth, yes, we have. But somebody also asked how are we going to expand without doing capex? Most of our capex is done. That's why our fixed variables are slightly higher, and that's why cost efficiencies will come in the next 3 to 5 years.
So the next question is, how big is the animal medicine market, and what is the Fredun shares out of it?
That's good. So the animal and the veterinary market is good. As it's growing in India. India generally considered not to have we actually have a lot of pets, like we have so much of animal husbandry, but we are not organized, therefore the usage of veterinary products was not much. However, things are changing in the last 10 years. Currently, we have developed a few new products under our Frey Aussie range. And those products are going to be launched in the next 18 to 36 months systematically. So we have a foothold. We do niche products. We are our Frey Prime Cal, Frey Oxytone has decent growth in terms of where we have launched the product. But again, because we are a company which wants to test the water, we would want to 100% be sure of exactly what we are launching. And the last 3 to 5 years, we are doing extensive trials in terms of market surveys, in terms of product surveys, in terms of F&D and improvement of your product. We have also done trials with the Animal Husbandry Department of Vietnam, and successful trials, if I may, which are very difficult, as I would like to add, in Vietnam as well. So yes, we are planning in Vietnam. We have 5 registrations that have come through. We are also planning locally, and also in various countries that we are doing our finished formulations for humans.
Mr. Fernandez has asked, how do you see the debt equity mix over the next few years? The result indicated an interest rate of 18% on the debt, which seems very high. Any reason for this?
Yes, some of our short-term debts were high interest rate. Debt to equity, yes, we are planning ahead. There is no foreseeable stringed line that this is the debt that we are going to capture, and this is the equity that we are going to have. But we require a right mix. Yes, for certain expansion plans, we will go in for equity funding. We will go in for PE. For debt, definitely for further working capital, short-term growth plans, or certain order executions which are high value in, we might take debt from banking, you can say, institutions. So definitely, right now there is no fixed plan, but my plan is very crystal clear. Get rid of all the short-term debts which are high interest rate in the next 12 to 18 months. Long-term debt should reduce in the next 5 to 8 years. In fact, I don't foresee it going beyond 5 to 6 years. And we'll try to get that thing over. However, working capital and funding against orders will remain in terms of debt to sustain our growth.
Okay. And what is your R&D budget for upcoming years?
So basically, our F&D, we are planning to spend around, say, 3 to 3.5 crores in this year, and around 1.5 to 2.5 crores practically every 6 months from the next 2 to 3 years. So it's fluid, it's not strained. Yes, our team cost will be there, our product cost will be there. We will be adding new molecules, we are in fact almost about 25, 30 new molecules that we have never made before. We are going to get our COPPs for by August end, this August end. So yes, I mean, we have a idea of how much we're going to spend. Also depends on the sustainability of some of the products that we have already done in the past, and if some product clicks fast, we would do further F&D on that and try to improvise on that and make it suitable for more than 5 or 10 countries that we are existingly dealing in.
Okay, fine. Let's take some questions from the person who have raised. So Vinny Nair. Mr. Vinny, you need to unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, Fredun.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm very happy to hear about the progress that you're making, and congratulate you on my personal behalf and also on behalf of investors who are invested in Fredun. And one question that I would like to ask you is, like, any mutual funds or HNI guys have approached you for their interest or to get stake in the company recently? Because we are seeing you growing, and these are the guys who pitch in at the right moment when they see there is some growth happening in companies. So any such investors who have come in, like,
Yes.
who have shown their interest to you? that they want to be part of the growth story in partnering with
Sure. We have garnered a lot of attention in the last 3 years, especially post our listing. And we have a few people approaching us practically every month. Some are really HNIs, some have good.
Hello.
Our existing shareholders right now are also HNIs. We have very good basket of investors even right now. We have to be very cautious in terms of right now we want to invest not just for the money, but for what they can bring to the table other than money. So we are exploring our options. We want to make connections with good companies. We want to tie up with bigger players with the same line of thought. So as a company, we are looking for investors not just with money. We want investors who can put on the table that, hey, look, this is the money, but we can connect you with so and so forth, and those guys can definitely help you grow the company, because the company along with money at the same time requires to be in the right place at the right time, and sometimes such HNIs or UHNIs can put us at the right place.
I also see Mr. Nikhil Vora, who have significant stake in your company. So I
Yes,
think that
he's the guy who seed funded Paytm. He's the guy, many successful companies. He's one of us. I am in touch with him on a regular basis. He's also quite interested in what we are doing, quite happy. But we have other people also coming in. Our investor list is good.
okay. So next question is from Mr. Shiva Murli. Mr. Shiv Murli, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hello. Hello. Good evening, sir. Sir. Yeah, my question is, you said that, right now that profitability is not a criteria. Growth is your criteria. That is good, well understand. But does it mean that is there any dent going forward in getting more and more revenues going forward, or it is that whatever the profitability currently we have will going to, we at least try to sustain the same level, the profitability?
Yes, good question. Yes, we don't foresee any dent in terms of, I think that's what you're indicating, no. But we will try to foresee our current and sustain our current profitability that we have, at the same time marginally increasing the profits. But if you tell me to hit the hammer on a, I cannot. What I can assure you is that profitability will definitely hit us once we cross 180 to 200 crores. But in terms of the current profitability, yes, it will be sustained. We don't foresee any major dent in the first end. We are not loss leaders. We will have to deploy certain strategies which may incur low margins. However, not a big dent is foreseen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Keval Ashar. Mr. Keval Ashar?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I had one small suggestion, like if you could have an investor meet at your plant after the COVID situation settles, should be even great for investors to know your vision as well as see your plant if possible.
I would love that. We can even do 5 groups of 20. More than 20 is very difficult to move around in the plant. But I would love to, because I always tell my investors, in fact, all the investors who have invested in the last 4 years, I have told that, hey, boss, no, first come and see our facility. First come and see what we do. Because only then you will have an idea, the scale at what we are going and the kind of future that we are looking at. So definitely, I would, in fact, if Mr. Kulbhushan can organize it, I would appreciate that as well. I welcome Mr. Kulbhushan also. Post-COVID, of course, anytime when you feel, I would more than welcome as a group. As if you are my investor, if you are my shareholder, yeah, why not?
Okay. Thank you for inviting us. No. Any person who also have raised hand? So Mr. Ayush Gupta.
Hi, Fredun.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Like, I want to know that, like, what would be our replacement cost of asset? Like, all the value of our asset put together.
So basically, this plant and machine, our replacement somewhere to
Ayush, you
around,
can mute now. Yeah.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So our plant and machinery replacement cost will be somewhere in the tune of 55 to 55 crores.
Okay.
Okay.
That is just the plant and machinery. But if you see, if somebody wants to start new, the plant and machinery actually adds up to a very minuscule terms of money. It is the registrations, it is the product licenses and the product permissions that a location has garnered over the last 10 years. Is stability, is 6 months, 5 years stability of most of our products, and that is our key asset, which with even 100 crores nobody can duplicate.
Okay. Thank you. Like, one more question I want to ask. In last con call, you said that you will achieve 7% net profit margin when we are going to hit 180 crores of sales. So, is that still stand?
Yeah, that still stands. That still stands. It will, however, what is the goal actually is to the why 180 to 195 crores is that is basically when the fixed variables will be marginalized in terms of our top line, and we should be looking at somewhere between 6 to 7% net profitability.
Okay. Dipendu Nandi.
Hello.
Yes, Dipendu.
Yeah, first of all, Mr. Fredun and Mr. Kulbhushan, thank you for arranging this webinar. So my question is that there are talks in the market that Fredun Pharma is bagging an order from either Tanzania or Zambia about 200 crore export order. So do you have any comment on that?
I think this need to be an information which need to be reported to the stock exchange first. Mr. Fredun, if you want to answer this question.
I would not want to comment on that, but I can tell you we are looking at very good partnerships in the coming years, which will exceed our expectations. I cannot comment on any particular number or figure. I hope you understand. But we have good orders coming in. At the same time, as I've been telling you before, if somebody comes and says, take here this one order, 500 crores, I will not take it. If somebody comes and says, here, I have given you this order, it's 5 crores, but I will give you the same order once you complete it of 5.5 crores, I will grab it. Because if I go and start committing myself to the 500 crore order, what will happen to the rest of my buyers? What will happen to my growth? What will happen to my future? What if that guy does not give me a repeat order? Do I become a one-time order company? No. So I am looking at long-term sustainable growth with partnering with our buyers.
Okay. Mr. Abhishek Anantula, you can ask. You need to unmute yourself first.
Yeah, do you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, hi, Fredun. So, a couple of questions. So, in terms of the sales side of the value chain, yeah. So, I know we do a lot of business, in Africa and also in Latin America. And uh, in terms of the payment, in terms of the trade receivables, so you said that, you're entering into agreements with the buyers there. So how does the overall cash inflow situation look like there? So do they pay you, do they provide you some sort of bank guarantee? Are all our sales are insured with some sort of guarantee? Is my first question.
Sure. Answering your first question, basically all our exports are backed by insurance. That's number one. At the same time, as I told you initially, most of our buyers are either number 1, 2, or 3 in that country. So generally, there is a mental assurance that yes, your money is safe. At the same time, we partner with our buyers in such a way that in terms of penetrating the brands, we partner with them. So there are certain costs that we share. When there are certain costs that you are sharing with your buyer, he will be less inclined to spoil your cash flow. So yes, there is certain inherent risk, as in any business anywhere in the world, but we are covered. And I can say for a surety that all our export proceeds are covered via insurance.
Right. So, second question then, there is an wave going on in the market about contract research thing. Yeah? So, are you thinking of are you positioned, or is it in your strategy to do some contract research stuff, from high cost countries?
Yes, good question. I really appreciate. What our team currently is doing is formulating right now to develop ourselves. That's number one. As I explained to a gentleman before, that yes, after we are stabilized, after we are completely concretized in what we are doing right now, that is when we will foray into contract formulation development, because we have been doing that. It will be easier for us. It will not be from scratch. We have F&D, R&D equipments to support it. And we would be really interested in something like that in years to come. Not necessarily right now, but yes, in a few years down the line, we will be doing it, because we are doing this for the last 10 years.
Okay, I think that suffices the answer. Mr. Ajia Sharma has raised hand. Mr. Sharma, you can ask.
Yeah. Fredun, good evening, and thank you very much, both of you, Fredun and Mr. Kulbhushan, to arrange this call. This is really appreciated by all the shareholders as well as people who are interested and researching your company. I have two questions for you. Some of us who have really seen your journey in the last 2-3 years, and have stood by the efforts taking the company and are seeing them turn into reality, the way you expanded facilities, all of that. If you could share with us your next 3 to 5 year vision for the company, not quarter to quarter operational stuff that is clearly visible and you've been kind enough to share everything. But I want to understand, where do you want to take the company next 3 to 5 years with the kind of work you've already done in the recent 3-5 year past? A ballpark, and then I'll have 2 more operational questions. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate your comments. Answering your first question, next 3 to 5 years, I see our company trying to first thing first is trying to utilize all our capacities with our orders in hand. What I want is the right mix of products which will give us value and volume together. We are registering, as I told everybody, I'm registering around 500 to 600 products. At least 10% of those products, if become voluminous products, you will be able to garner and cater to your capacity. That is number one. Number two is where I want Fredun to be seen as a company is a company which can be seen as a niche player with a huge volume. Which big companies can partner with us? Those companies who want to foray into generics and require a huge volume manufacturing daily, they can contact us. We will be their partners. We will work through that. That is number one. Number two, we are also planning to launch certain products through Fredun Generic, where we are planning to foray into the generic growing market in India and support that. That's number two. Number three is the new molecules that we are planning for a particular country. We want to take that molecule and put it to 5, 6, 7 other countries. We have recently commissioned our ointment projects, and even in our ointments, we don't want to make me too products. Yes, of course, there will be volume products. Yes, of course, there will be pain relief gels and so on and so forth. But there will also be molecules which are new to India, new to the market, new, or at least I would say the second one in the country or the first one in the country to launch the product. Yes, we don't have a big marketing budget to go gaga over it. But as long as we have the production capacity, as long as we have the technology to produce it, we are going to be foraying inroads further and strengthening our position as a manufacturer.
Okay. My next question is that given the way business is growing right now with the kind of orders you have and inquiries you have, does it appear that, from 120, 110 odd, your top line could take out, say, 180, 200 levels in the next 3 years? Is there a fair estimate if somebody is making a model?
Yes, that's a fair estimate. That's a fair estimate. We are looking at that kind of top line in the next 3 years. We are looking at that kind of top line. We are looking at that kind of growth, maybe plus or minus 5 or 10%, but we will be somewhere in the ballpark.
And at the same time, you also said that at the time of that 180 odd levels crossing, the profitability could see a J curve because all the new registrations and products will come together along with top line.
Plus, you are producing more with the same variables, with the same. If your turnover increases by 100%, your labor cost is not going to increase by 100%.
So 23, 24 will be the year to watch out for in terms of inflection point.
Yes, you can say that. That's appropriate to understand that. Yes.
My last question: you just mentioned that you are, or some companies are interested in forging joint ventures with you, other larger pharma companies, or you are interested. Can you tell us what stage of talks is that kind of thought process in, and is it over and above the kind of arrangements you have right now for supplies? Is it more material in nature? Or if you could just share not the transaction, but where the thought process of the management is on that line.
So we, Mr. Ajay, we are looking at one, to associate with somebody who has that kind of thought line. And number two is we are already having tie-ups with companies, and those companies need not be local Indian multinationals. There can be, say, the top company in Philippines, or it can be the number one distributor in Kenya, where you are partnering with them, where you are understanding, probably creating a new line of brand, of the same molecule, maybe you have a brand enhancement. And getting inroads into that. Number one, to use your capacity. Number two, to create brands which have full ownership or partial ownership directly with our company.
All right. Thank you very much for your patience, Fredun, and good luck for all your endeavors going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Ajay. Mr. Arun Mukherjee, the stock guru. Thanks for asking. You can ask.
Hi, Kulbhushan ji.
Hi.
Hi, Fredun.
Hello.
Like, I mean, just a pun, like what led to this bearded look? I mean, a guy of 33 years suddenly started looking like 40 plus.
This I can attribute to COVID. This I can attribute to COVID. But I even in school, people used to ask me if I was married. So I have a
Or maybe a ploy just to show up mature to your shareholders.
Well, you can think whatever you want. You're free to think. So I am happy. I don't mind being 44, but as long as I'm mentally still 21.
Yeah. So to start up, like when are you delegating? You are the CFO. I mean, I keep harping on this question time and again.
You do. You have asked me this question in the con call as well.
Yeah, because being the follower of the Jack Ma's and Vijay Shekhar Sharma's of the world, they would all have a fantastic team. I do believe that our subordinates are good enough, but certainly, man, we definitely need a CFO.
Yes, we do, and the company will get a CFO in the next 12 months. The company actually has a very strong tier 2 team, which is running it. But because the things are growing very dynamically, I would want to have certain divisions under me directly. Yes, you are right. Delegation is key. If you cannot delegate, you cannot grow. If you cannot be replaced, you cannot be promoted. I tell that to my team day in and day out. And yes, within the next 12 to 18 months, I assure you, Arun, we will have a very strong team. We are not only hiring, but developing our people. And that is why it's taking time. Because I truly believe somebody from outside coming in and handling things, yes, it's okay, it's good, it's necessary. But those people who have worked with us for such a long time and have the potential, have the capacity, have the inclination and the talent to grow, yes, they would be part of our core team. We would definitely be looking to hire. So in the next, say around a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very well organized team. If you come to my plant right now, I will make you meet the team who is there. The plant is completely on auto control right now. My intervention in the plant matters right now are limited to phone calls. So not just for COVID, but pre-COVID as well. And I want to make it even further. Actually, to be very honest and candid, my goal for FPL, and it might sound funny to many people, including you maybe, is to meet my team only and only during the group meetings and during the annual functions. Right, the entire team should be on cruise control, growing on cruise control, expanding on cruise control. And that is my goal. And I will achieve it. Maybe a year sooner or later, but I want to have it. That is my personal goal, to run an organization, not just FPL, any organization.
Before starting with my company related questions, I've seen you working like 20 hours a day. Are you getting enough sleep these days?
Well, that's a debatable question. I would quote Mr. Modi in this: कि नींद लंबी नहीं पूरी होनी चाहिए. So the limited sleep I do get is sufficient right now. But yes, health is important, and I'm going to focus on that.
Okay, good enough. So Fredun, in my yesteryears, I've been fortunate to earn decent amount of money from a company called Kaplan Point, which pretty much resembles Fredun. So what Kaplan did was, they introduced lower margin products. They set up a distribution and supply chain, and once that got set up, they started introducing higher margin products. So from a net margin of 3%, their net margin vaulted to like 25% plus. So
Yes.
is this the road that we are also seeing in the next 5-10 years?
Kaplan, very good. I'm very happy for the success. I know the promoter personally. I've met him many times. We are slightly different in terms of they hit gold in 1 or 2 countries. And yes, they went in, they created their own distribution in that particular country, and then they foraged with major plans. In fact, his sons were stationed there and grew the business locally over there as well. So I'm very happy for that success. Very happy. It's a really good story of his success. But where Fredun is going, I would want to have inroads in many countries simultaneously. The point is same. We are going with low value products. We are entering some products. We are loss leading just to ensure that every chemist, every pharmacy, every store in the country has at least one product of Fredun. So people are aware, the pharmacies are aware, and that is what we are doing. And then yes, we are adding a high value product. Certain countries we are successful in doing that, certain countries not so as of now. But overall, the view is the same. The only difference is we will not be forging any local distribution ourselves right now, as I want to focus more on creating a co-production strength right now, and have a pure distribution in the next 3 to 5 years hence.
Well, you certainly have got endorsement from Parthipan sir of Kaplan, I mean, if you may actually.
Thank you.
And coming back to our dividend policy, we made a net profit of around 1.9 crore and we are paying a dividend of around 66 paisa, I believe, if I'm noting that correctly.
Yes.
So that makes a payout ratio of around 12%. So that's going to sustain and stay?
Yes, it should be okay. It should be okay. It should not be worrisome right now. As I told you, there is the difference between what we are doing now and where we will be is again a few million here and there in terms of sharing and helping our to show support to our shareholders. It's a token. I still feel that my investors have added so much value. I speak with so many investors on a day-to-day basis, and they add really good value. Not money, but value. And it's a small way of saying, "Hey, thanks, and I will always be there as long as we are together."
Okay, my last question. See, we are doing like plain generic, vanilla generics, right? And I mean, what would have been the value? I mean, provided they were like of branded generics, this 110 crores would have been 3x plus?
7x.
Sorry?
7x. 7x.
And that would have translated to 700 crore.
Yeah, a plant with my capacity can yield out around 1,000 crores in branded generics.
You're right. And the companies, I mean, certainly you may also have, some kind of a competition, and also, though, the partnership that we have converged over the years, they pretty much look robust. But if anyone comes and tries to duplicate us or copy us, is that like possible?
Many people are trying. I feel it's a good thing. You're doing something right. Not possible in terms of getting our kind of product. It's not that easy. to get now. 10 years ago, somebody can come and make a product now. India, the rules are as complicated as any developed country. Again, as somebody asked previously, what is your replacement cost? Physical replacement cost is meaningless. It's 60 crores. But the intangibles are 100 crores, maybe 150 crores, maybe more, because time. It's on. People say, how will you mention the intangibles? I'm saying the person who is calculating what time does that person value for himself or herself, and multiply that by the number of years, and that's the intangible cost.
And you also need to put up inflation figure too, right? To set up a plant, you would need 3-4 years.
Yes, inflation, cost of money, at the same time, again, time. You will have to spend 3 to 5 years to get the product mix that we are doing, maybe more. Maybe you may not get registrations for those products in those countries anymore because the market is already dense. It's different. I can't say if somebody can create a copy of Fredun, and neither is Fredun interested in copying others. I honestly don't want to emulate any pharma company in India. I want to be Fredun. I want us to have our own niche, to do our own thing. Maybe we'll be successful. Maybe we'll be very successful. Who knows? Right now, all I can say is we are trying and we are pushing hard.
But just tell me one thing. In India, with our vast range of products, nobody is comparable, right?
No, I can tell you that nobody's comparable. No, maybe one company, 2 companies, but again, those companies who have that kind of mix will not have the volume.
Absolutely. And lastly, I mean, the AGM I attended a couple of years back, you had some kind of a bone marrow vision. You were speaking about high margin things, which are like pretty niche.
Our trials are extremely successful. Our human trials are going to initiate from April. But we have to wait for 6 months. I can't force human trials during COVID because bone grafting requires surgeries, and no surgeon will do surgeries in COVID.
Right, and this is happening in coming quarters also, right? We at least need our webinar once a quarter.
Can I?
What I'm saying is, these days, I mean, communicating with the shareholder is a must. I mean, they should also know what's happening around, right?
I would really love it. In fact, I like to discuss. Me, I love to discuss. I want to push through, and I love taking questions because I actually end up learning.
Right. That's it from me. Cheers.
Thank you, Arun. Thanks a lot. Last question for this session, Mr. Hari Prasad Bomasani. Mr. Hari Prasad, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, thanks, Fredun. Thanks for the opportunity. I just want to ask a quick question. So you did mention you are planning to enter animal medication. So what is do you really need to invest anything? I mean, do you need to any capex for that for entering the animal medication? And do you have any like a specific sales target? Okay, next 1 year my animal contribution should be 10% of the total revenue or 20%. Do you have any such thing in your mind?
Good question. So for the last 3 years, for the last 10 years, we are developing veterinary formulations which are very unique. In fact, some formulations don't have any comparative product in the market. So my goal for the next 4 to 5 years will be to educate, to create a market for our products, and therefore I cannot harp on any particular percentage of my overall sales. But I can assure you this, that in the next 5 to 10 years, Frey Aussie range will be one of the best veterinary ranges there are which is either exporting from India or existing in India. And we have in fact launched our product in India called Frey Prime Cal, which is a calcium supplement for pets, dogs, cats, and small pets. So that product has a soft release in January this year, and we are creating a team. We are foraging further into it, and next 2 years I will have enough data to comment for the next 3 years what my percentage sales will come from veterinary. But my focus solely in terms of veterinary is to grow our Frey Aussie range and to make that range a valuable range for the company in the distant future.
Okay.
Thanks, Fredun. So my first question, I think maybe didn't get the answer. Do you really need any capex for?
Yes. Sorry. No, I don't.
Okay.
We have developed it ourselves. We don't need any capex. We might invest money in marketing. We might invest money in advertising. We might invest money in terms of putting the product in the market. For manufacturing it, no, there is no capex that is required, or I would say no substantial capex that is required.
Okay, thank you.
So I think we had an extensive discussion for 1.5 hours. We have covered almost all aspects of the company, the manufacturing facility, the financials, the growth plan, the strategy. Closing remarks from Mr. Fredun.
So I have been always saying this, and I repeat it and I reiterate that all my investors are my partners. You own one share or you own a larger percentage, it doesn't matter to me. You have invested your hard-earned money in a collective dream. So yes, I am thankful to everybody. I'm thankful to people who've shown interest who are not my shareholders also. At the same time, the company is founding great products, and the company is creating a very strong foundation for the next 10 years. So I just think any investor who is a long-term investor will be happy with where the company is heading to. At the same time, I thank you all for your time. I thank you all for giving time for listening to us, and I really be thankful for everybody.
So we at CCV, we at Corporate Capital Ventures are also very thankful to everyone who has spent their time on this Friday evening. A lot of people are there. They have listened to us patiently. I sincerely thank every one of them individually. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.